What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. Really want to get this FRS finished up, but I want to wait at least 12-ish more hours before we wet sand the primer off these wide body panels. So in the meantime, I went ahead and opened up a few packages we had laying around, and to be completely honest, I thought we had way more parts in than this. This is all we have in so far. I think more stuff is gonna show up later today, but we are starting to get parts in for the 2.5 SuSTi engine build, which is exciting. We really need the pistons in like as soon as possible so we can get the block dropped off and get the block bored, because that's the longest process. Looking like 2 or 3 months out on just the boring and the engine machine work alone. So I really want to get that dropped off. Either way, today we are pulling apart the 2.5 for SuSTi, taking it all the way apart, completely down to a bare block, bare crank, bare everything. Figure out what actually happened to that 2.5, because I'm pretty sure it was a ringland failure, but I'm excited to see. And then as soon as the pistons show up, we can go ahead, get the block and the pistons and the crank and some other parts dropped off at the machine shop and get the machining work process started. So let's get this thing pulled out of storage, tear into it, and see what we got going on. All right, we got the engine up on the stand. Kind of forgot this thing had some aftermarket, looks like an eBay setup of headers and up pipe combo. Kind of weird how you cannot unbolt the up pipe. As you can see, all one piece all the way down to the headers. But regardless, let's start digging into this thing, pull off everything on the front, crank pulley, timing covers, all the timing components. Then we're gonna go ahead and pop the heads off. And maybe once we get the heads off, we can see exactly what happened with this thing. Started smoking a ton. I know the turbo was bad on the car that this thing came out of, but they also said it had a ringland failure as well. So let's dig into it and see what we got. All right, let's see if these cam bolts are stuck like they always are. Hopefully we can get them off. Dang, the belt is slipping on the cam gear itself. So I need to clamp the belt onto the gear so that does not happen, because I don't have the Subaru cam gear holder tool yet. All right, we got one off so far. There's 2, there's 3, and this one was slipping earlier. And there's 4. Beautiful. All right, timing belt, all the timing belt components are gonna come off. Cam gears can come off, inner timing covers off, exhaust manifold off, and then we move on to the heads. All right, from here, we're gonna go ahead and deal with the passenger side head. Valve cover comes off, cams come off. There's a line here we gotta pop off. Remove the head bolts, and this thing should come off. Everything on the passenger side so far looks pretty healthy. All the valves are in great condition. No clear signs of a head gasket leak, surprise, surprise. And I don't see any sort of oil puddling or buildup or anything going on with the pistons. Head gasket looks good. Interesting. I'm gonna pop off the motor mount, flip this thing over, check out the driver's side, maybe it was cylinder 4 like usual, and see what we find. Beautiful. There is a stripped out head bolt right here. The head of this thing's completely rounded off. See if that does the trick. Hey, look at there. All right, moment of truth. Is this thing hammered or is she not bad at all? She's titties. I don't think there's anything going on with this engine at all. So far, I don't see anything going on with this short block. I could be wrong, but we're gonna go ahead, tear it all the way down and see. This thing is gonna get fully built. It's gonna stay semi-closed. No point in going to a closed deck for our power goals on this car. It'll handle plenty of power, manly rods, manly pistons, ARP studs, the works, and she should handle some sauce. Let's get the short block up on the table over there, get her completely torn down. Well, I guess first off we can pull the coolant crossover pipe and the oil pan, but get her up on the table, completely tear it down, pull the crank, pull the pistons, rods, and see if there's actually anything going on in the bottom end. Okay, so we got the short block sitting here. First thing we're gonna do is pull out the pistons, and that's gonna be obviously the clear sign of if this thing was just a bad turbo. Cause I'm actually the one who swapped this motor out. A different, I guess, shop you'd call it, diagnosed it as a blown ringland. We went ahead, bought a used motor. This was like 3 years ago. Bought a used motor, swapped it out for this one. As I was pulling this motor, popped off the turbo, noticed that turbo was completely smoked. But we decided to go and swap it out anyway, just in case it was a blown ringland. So pistons are gonna come out. How we do that is this cover comes off, that cover comes off. We gotta pull out the wrist pins, and then the pistons come out. There's also 2 little caps on the front of the block, and little Allen caps. We're gonna have to pull those off to get the 2 front pistons out. These little screws are always a little bit tricky, a little bit fun to get out. So let's grab an impact driver and get those things off. Might be kind of hard to see, but if you look down in that hole right there, that's pretty easy to see actually. There is that wrist pin C-clip. So we need to pull that C-clip out, and we'll actually go from the other side and pound the wrist pin out of this little hole. Same thing right here, you see the clip, same concept. Let's get both those clips off. Let's just go ahead and split the cases. So there is that bolt there, a few going from the passenger down to the driver's side, but the majority of them, when we flip it over, will be the driver's side coming through the passenger side. Let's get all those bolts out. The case is gonna split right here, right in half. As you can see that line there. We'll pull the crank and the rods, and then we can slide the pistons out. We could get the pistons out now, but we're gonna pull it apart either way, and it's easier to do when the cases are apart. All right, cases are apart, crank is out. Let's pop these pistons out and see what we find. First one is good. Next up, no broken ringlands there. That one's good to go. Come on, give me some sort of carnage. Nothing at all. These things are freaking perfect. We should put this thing back together and just run it as is. Kidding. I'm gonna go ahead and pop off the rods, off the crank. Crank looks beautiful. So far, all the mains look good, but let's pop off the rods and see what we got going on there. A little bit of wear, nothing crazy. Looks pretty good to me. That one's got a little bit more, still not bad. Just a touch of wear on each of them. Nothing crazy at all. Crank is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. Yeah guys, not a single thing going on with this engine, which is fairly surprising. We could have definitely put it in the car, ran it as is, and never would have had an issue, unless we blew it up. But it was good to go. There's nothing wrong, unless the rings were shot. But yeah, when I pulled that turbo off, that thing was hammered. So what we're gonna do is drop the heads off at the head shop. Those are gonna be completely gone through. I need to run back to the house real quick, the old house, and I think there is a package there from Import Image Racing that should contain the pistons, rods, and some other important internal engine stuff. We do need the pistons to drop the block off, because of course the block has to be bored to our piston size. Let's go get everything loaded up in the truck and head back to the house. Hopefully that package is sitting there with our pistons. What are you doing here, son? This is my office.
No, baby, I can't be on camera right now.
You're never allowed on camera. Why not?
Because I look like a boy.
You look like a man.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby, I'm sick.
I know. I can hear it in your voice.
I understand. Can I have my office back?
Only if you turn off the camera so I can do my duties.
All right, we got some packages up here. Let's see if we have an import image box. We got a Grimspeed. We have a Bob Group Designs, a Forge Star. I found my box, Bobby. Have you ever found your box before?
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
No.
You don't know what your box is?
No.
Okay.
What is it?
Your pee-pee. I tore apart my STI motor this morning. Whoa! Item number 1, sport rods. Manly H-beams and the Holy Grail, Manly pistons. All right, so I just went in and dropped off all the goodies at the machine shop. About 2 or 3 months down the road, we should have a built STI motor before Bobby ever gets hers.
No hard feelings, honey.
Are you not mad?
No.
Okay. Big shout out to Import Image Racing for getting all these parts over to us. Second day. Anything else I should say? If you guys want any parts from Import Image Racing, I'll have them linked down below.
Gracias.
Gracias. I have anxiety.
Why?
Because look at our house. It's a mess. And look at my office. It's a mess. Bunch of shit. Okay. Peace out, my friends. Tomorrow we're going to finish the FRS and do burnouts.
Hasta luego.
Huh? What?
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Muchachos.
Muchachos.
Baby?
Yeah?
When are you going to grab your desk and stuff from the old house?
Probably today.
Okay.